Notice of Rule of Necessity. This document serves as a formal legal notice invoking the rule of necessity, a legal doctrine that allows otherwise restricted actions to prevent injustice, protect rights, and ensure due process. It outlines the legal basis for necessity, immediate required actions for compliance, and legal consequences for noncompliance. This notice ensures that justice prevails over procedural technicalities and affirms the right to lawful remedy when no alternative resolution exists. Your name or organization. Your address. City, state, zip code. Email address. Phone number. Date. 2. Recipient's name or organization. Recipient's address. City, state, zip code. Subject. Formal notice of invocation of the rule of necessity. Dear, recipient's name. Legal basis for this notice. This letter serves as formal notification that the undersigned invokes the rule of necessity, a long-standing legal doctrine that permits actions otherwise impermissible when required to avoid a failure of justice, duty, or fundamental rights. The rule of necessity applies where no alternative lawful remedy exists and where adherence to procedural barriers would result in unjust harm or the denial of legal recourse. This invocation is based on constitutional protections, common law precedents, and the principles of equity. 1. Definition of the rule of necessity. The rule permits legal, administrative, or judicial actions that may otherwise be restricted when necessity demands intervention to prevent injustice. 2. Jurisdictional authority. The rule applies when no other legal authority or entity is available to provide timely resolution of the issue at hand. 3. Protection of fundamental rights. This rule serves as a safeguard to ensure that justice prevails over technical procedural barriers. 4. Presumption against delay or denial. Any action that delays, obstructs, or denies the undersigned's right to lawful remedy shall be deemed unlawful and subject to immediate challenge. Immediate required actions. 1. Acknowledge the invocation of the rule of necessity. The recipient must recognize this notice as an assertion of a lawful right to immediate remedy. 2. Provide a justified and lawful response. If the recipient disputes this invocation, they must present a verifiable legal basis demonstrating why the rule of necessity does not apply. 3. Cease and desist from unjust obstruction. Any refusal to recognize this invocation without due process or valid legal grounds shall be considered an obstruction of justice. Legal consequences for noncompliance. Failure to recognize and comply with this invocation of the rule of necessity may result in legal challenge and injunctions. Any entity attempting to deny the undersigned's rights may face legal action, including restraining orders and lawsuits. Liability for rights violations. Any obstruction or refusal to acknowledge necessity may lead to civil and criminal liability. Public and legal scrutiny. Ignoring or undermining the rule of necessity may result in legal, regulatory, and reputational consequences. This notice serves as official documentation asserting that the undersigned lawfully invokes the rule of necessity to ensure justice, due process, and immediate recourse. Any failure to comply shall be met with full legal challenge and enforcement action. A response addressing this matter is expected no later than specific date. If further clarification is required, you may contact me at your contact information. Sincerely. Your name. Your position, if applicable. Your organization name, if applicable. Enclosures, list any attached documents,